Friesland is the #1 free destroyer you can earn in this game because it has murderous DPM, sonar smoke, and ridiculous AA. Decent stats in basically every other department. It is hands down, bar none, the #1 global XP ship if you're a solo player that wants to win games. Because you can bully any other destroyer at the tier, and even higher tier ones if you play your cards right. Let's jump in a match and I'll show you what I mean. Ooh, something's contesting the cap. Oh boy, okay, ZF6. Smoke, sonar, let's go. Let's keep backing up here, see if we can kind of bait his torpedoes. He might still launch them from that angle, but once we go dark, he can't deal any more damage to us. This should be a pretty easy kill to clean up to start this match off here. I don't know where the other destroyer is. It looks like he might be over on the seaside. We'll go catch up to him later. Ooh, nice blind fire ZF6. This is definitely why I usually don't do tracers on a ship that reloads so fast like this, because I don't want to get blind fired, but that is game. Destroyers are the most important ship in a match. The quickest way to ensure your team wins is to dominate an enemy destroyer early on, and no other destroyer does it better than Friesland. Get good at gunboating in Friesland and literally watch your win rate climb. But there are a couple caveats to this boat I want to show you before you decide to spend your hard-earned global XP on this ship. For starters, it may be an issue that it's pan-European. You may not have as high of level commanders like you would for other DDs. If you're missing any of these like Jerzy Swirsky or Konrad Helfrich, you can buy them for blue XP in the store. Personally, I would recommend Konrad Helfrich. The gun reload is 1.8 seconds stock. So improving the reload with Jerzy Swirsky in Observant Rage or Mordov is a waste because of diminishing returns. You're only going to get it down a couple more tenths of a second. What Konrad will give you though is a buffed fire chance, and that goes a long way in improving fires per minute and dealing damage to battleships and larger ships. Also concealment speed and gun range all make Friesland even more viable for curb stomping the Reds. Oh, and more AA. I use the AA module in slot 1 and range in slot 4. I like the added gun range. It makes it a little easier to expand your reach, especially if you've already smoked up and there are enemy ships around. You don't want to have to leave your smoke to continue raining that golden shower all over the Reds. As for the inspirations, I take Bay for more stealth and Sims for added health points. With the extra health, it will ensure you'll win any 1 versus 1 destroyer engagement that you get into, even higher HP opponents like Akazuki and Tashkent. The only argument I still see for Jerzy Swirsky is Perceptive or Twist and Track, which would allow you to hunt down enemy DDs a little bit better. Although, if you've played the game for a while, you're likely to kind of know where the enemies are from experience. Except this one time, I chased a Kagero for half a game. I had already taken B cap and I was really just keeping this guy out of the caps and from torping our battleships. I have to say, Twist and Track would have been useful here. I easily could have caught and killed him. But out of the 7 or 8 recent games I played in Friesland, this was the only game that I missed having the RPF tracker. Aside from the commander, the biggest problem Friesland has is it cannot stop pushes without help from your team because it doesn't have torpedoes. Determined cruisers or aggressive battleships can drive straight at Friesland without fear, because, there's no repercussion. It takes a while to kill these bigger ships with your guns. It's the price you pay for having the ridiculous damage output, but if you can learn to live with this and embrace the Daka, this is the destroyer for you. If you want to live in this destroyer-eat-destroyer world, you gotta have HP. Frieslander has a solid amount of health, landing in 9th place overall. This is why I think Sims is important. It's going to buff you to over 20,000 health. It's a nice buffer if you want to gunboat from open water or if you're just stupid and aggressive like me. There is no special armor to note, but what I would point out is Friesland is kind of a chunk, or just something to look for in DD versus DD fights. Friesland is short, but fat and a pretty good sized target, as opposed to say Loyang, which is really small and compact and is kind of hard to hit at longer ranges. You do have decent gun angles which will help you, and you should probably not stay flat broadside in this ship. Angling will make you a little bit harder to hit. The 2 stats that really set her apart from other destroyers though is that 1.8 second reload. The HE DPM is just behind Alan M. Sumner and the gearing, both of them tiers higher than Friesland. The shells are kind of floaty, but once you get used to it, it's not so bad. Or simply abuse the auto-aim in Legends. Voila. And the fire chance is 8% stock, which makes this one of the best fire-starting ships in the entire game. The little buff from Conrad Helfrich will help here, and battleships definitely are not going to like you, even though you don't have torpedoes. I think my favorite part about Friesland, though, is the anti-air, and it's at a tier that you're probably going to be playing against carriers. Friesland has a 286 stock destroyer DPS, so she can shoot down more planes than any other lollybolt in the game. And it's really rewarding and leads to a ton of XP if you have a carrier on the enemy team and they choose to focus you. It's always going to be a good day when there's a Kaga on the red team. Free, clear skies. Plus, and hear me out, who doesn't love ruining a carrier player's game? It's very, very delicious. Speed is also not that bad at 36 knots base. It's easy to get around the map, unlike the Merkur or the Akazuki, these other powerful gun platforms that are slow. On my build in Friesland, I'm regularly pushing over 42 knots with the speed flag, Hellfreak, and the speed booster going, which is hilarious. I mean, there's nothing better than pushing a smokescreen with the best destroyer DPM at tier 7 with sonar running at 42 knots. It's a blast. And the other stats on the ship, like rudder and turning circle, they're pretty good. They're middle of the pack. Like, there's just no downsides to this awesome boat. Concealment's also average. It could be better if you want to build into it, I guess. But 5.6 kilometers on this build has been okay for me. You'll get outspotted by IJN, torp boats, and things like that. But once you get used to it, it's really pretty competitive. Contesting caps is number 1, unless you're playing capture the base, in which case just sail around and shoot things since you're not going to get enough XP to matter anyways. But domination, the one true game mode, you want to contest caps and bonk destroyers. Before you push into a cap at the start of a game, there are a couple things to look for. 1, is there a carrier that's going to spot you? Are there radar cruisers, and what destroyer are you going to go head to head against?
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
If there are carriers or radar cruisers, you should play a little farther back and be more cautious. Otherwise, Friesland fears no destroyer. If in doubt, though, make sure you have an escape plan. So usually what I do when I approach a cap is I angle out so that I can sail away if things start to go poorly. And of course, you have your speed and smoke that you can pop if it comes down to it. Another thing to look for, are your teammates actually going to help you if things go south? Or are they already sailing to the edge of the map or reversing? Yeah, just something to keep an eye on. Any chance you get to bait an enemy destroyer into pushing into you is going to be a free kill, since you can pop smoke and sonar at the same time and gun them down without taking any damage in return. If it's one of the other destroyers that has sonar like Z-23 or Luoyang, it shouldn't matter because you're going to mop the floor with them in terms of dealing damage. The only gunboats to be cautious of, I would say, are ZF6 and Le Fantasque. Because of their reload booster, they can out DPM you when that's running. Tashkent, if it's over 7 kilometers or so, you don't want to take that fight because she's so fast and her better shell velocity. Fletcher and Akazuki, they also have high DPM, so be careful of them. But you should win with them. You're just probably going to lose a lot of health if you're trading. Once you've secured that cap, though, read the map and see where you need to go next. Farming in Friesland is great. You have this long duration smokescreen, these amazing guns, high fire chance, you can deal a ton of damage, set a lot of fires, but if you waste a couple minutes doing this and not taking caps, spotting, or killing red DDs, you could throw a game. Now, if you enjoy this gunboat playstyle, the Daka, and killing enemy DDs, there is another destroyer out there you should definitely check out, the alternative German destroyer GJ Merkur. Also free and on the tech tree, it could be worth your time. This is Durka signing off. I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.